I couldn't reach my daughter for 5 days. When I went to her house, I HEARD scratching under the BD chapter when the fifth day of silence was the one that broke me. I had called her 42 times. I counted every single ring. Each one felt like a stone dropping into a deep well, and every voicemail was a splash of cold water right in my face. My name is CA Roll. I am 63 years old. I live alone in a small house in Phoenix, Arizona, and my daughter Emily is my only family in this world. She always called me back. It was our rule. She would call me every evening at 6 o'clock, without fail, to tell me about her day and ask about mine. If she missed a call, she would text within the hour. That was just how we were. We had been that way since her father left when she was 8 years old. It was just the two of us against the world, and we had promised each other we would always stay close. But Monday came, and she did not answer. I figured she was working late. The real estate agency had been busy. She told me she was handling 3 new listings at once. I left a cheerful message. Hi, sweetie, just checking in. Call me when you get a chance. Love you. Tuesday morning, I called again. Straight to voicemail. I left another message. This time my voice was a little tighter. Emily, it's Mom. I'm getting worried. Please call me back. By Tuesday evening, I was pacing my living room. I called my brother Robert up in Flagstaff. He told me I was being dramatic. CA Roll, she's a grown woman. She's got a life. She's probably just busy with work. Give her some space. He was right. He was always right. I told myself to calm down. I sat down with my crossword puzzle. I tried to focus, but I kept staring at the phone. I kept picking it up and putting it down. The knot in my stomach was getting tighter. Wednesday morning, I called the real estate agency. A young woman answered. She told me Emily had not come in for work since Monday. She said she had called Emily's phone too, but there was no answer. She sounded worried. I told her I was sure everything was fine, but I was not sure. I was not sure at all. I spent Wednesday afternoon cleaning my house from top to bottom. I scrubbed the bathroom tiles until my hands were raw. I dusted every single shelf. I organized my pantry by expiration date. I was trying to keep my hands busy so my mind would stop racing. But it did not work. All I could see was Emily's face. I saw her as a little girl with missing front teeth and that gap-toothed smile. I saw her on her first day of school clinging to my hand, her eyes wide with fear. I saw her walking down the aisle as a beautiful bride in white. I saw her holding her first baby, my grandson Charlie, who lived all the way in Colorado now. I called her again at 6 o'clock. Nothing. I called at 8. Nothing. I called at 11. Nothing. I could not sleep that night. I just lay in my bed staring at the ceiling. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I kept telling myself it was nothing. People get busy. Phones die. Maybe she lost her charger. But the voice in my head kept whispering something else. Something darker. Something I refused to listen to. Thursday morning, I got in my car and drove to her house. It was a nice little house on a quiet street in a decent part of town. She had bought it 2 years ago with her husband David before he left for that law enforcement training program out of state. She was proud of it. She had painted the fence white herself. She had planted roses along the front walkway. She had made it her own. Her car was in the driveway. A silver Honda. I recognized it immediately. The lights in the house were off. The curtains were drawn. The whole place looked like it was holding its breath. I parked my old Buick on the street. My hands were sweaty on the steering wheel. I sat there for a moment, trying to steady my nerves. Then I got out and walked up the path. I knocked on the front door. No answer. I knocked harder. Nothing. I leaned my car against the wood. The house was completely silent. Not a sound. Not even the hum of a refrigerator. I walked around to the back. The gate was locked. I had to climb over it. My old knees screamed in protest. My back ached. But I did it anyway. The backyard was empty. The patio furniture was stacked and covered with a blue tarp. The grill was cold. The lawn was overgrown. It did not look like anyone had been home in days. I called her name. Emily. Emily, Are you in there? The only answer was the wind rustling through the trees. I stood there in the middle of her backyard feeling completely helpless. I pulled out my phone. I was going to call the police. I had my finger on the button. But then I stopped myself. What if I was wrong? What if I was just a paranoid old woman making a scene? Emily would be so embarrassed. She would be furious with me. She would tell me to stop treating her like a child. I did not want to be that mother. The one who smothers. The one who cannot let go. I put my phone back in my pocket. I walked back around to the front of the house. I tried the front door handle. It was locked. I tried the windows. All sealed tight. I was about to give up and go home when I heard a sound coming from inside the house. I froze. My heart stopped beating for a second. I pressed my ear against the door and listened. It was a soft scraping. Rhythmic. Like nails on wood. Like someone was dragging something heavy across the floor. It was coming from somewhere deep inside the house. The bedroom. The master bedroom at the back. A wave of nausea washed over me. My mouth went dry. My legs rude to shake. I thought of all the terrible things I had seen on the news. Break-ins. Home invasions. The worst things you can possibly imagine. Was she in there, hurt? Was someone else in there with her? Was she being held against her will while I stood out here like a fool? The scratching continued. It was getting louder. More frantic. It sounded desperate. It sounded like a cry for help. I could not just stand there. I had to know. I walked around the side of the house to the bedroom window. It was a small window set high up in the wall. The lock was old and rusted. I told myself I was breaking the law. I told myself I was trespassing. But I did not see a. I grabbed the window frame and pushed. It would not budge. I pushed harder. My arms were weak. My shoulders ached. I was an old woman. I was not built for this. But I thought of Emily. I thought of her lying in there alone and red. I thought of all the years I had spent protecting her. I was not about to stop now. I gave it one last shove with all my strength. The window slid open with a loud creak. I stuck my head through the gap. The bedroom was dark. The curtains were drawn. The only light came from a faint glow of a street lamp filtering through a gap in the fabric. It took a moment for my eyes to adjust. When they did, I felt my blood run cold. The room was a wreck. The bed was unmade. The blankets were tangled and thrown on the floor. Clothes were scattered everywhere. A chair was tipped over on its side. A lamp lay broken on the nightstand. It looked like a struggle had taken place. I saw a shadow under the bed. Something moved in the darkness. Two eyes gleamed in the faint light. They were terrified eyes. Wild eyes. And then I heard the scratching again, clearer now. It was coming from right under the bed. A thin, trembling voice called out. It was weak. Hoa rse. Ba rely audible. It was the voice of a child, not a grown woman. Mom, is that you? It was Emily. My heart, which had been pounding with terror, now twisted with a pain so sharp it almost took my breath away. I tried to push the window open wider, but my arms were shaking too much. Emily. Baby, I'm here. I'm coming. I scrambled away from the window. My legs felt like jelly. I ran back to the front door. I tried the handle again, uselessly. I looked around the porch for a sparry key. I knew Emily kept one hidden somewhere. But I did not know where. David had found it once under a fake rock. But that was months ago. She might have moved it. I had no time to see RCH. I picked up a heavy ceramic flower pot from the porch. It was filled with dry soil and dead petunias. I did not see a. I swung it with all my might against the glass pane of the front door. The glass shattered with a deafening crash. I did not even flinch. I reached my hand through the hole. RDS cut into my skin. I felt the RM trickle of blood. But I did not stop. I unlocked the door from the inside and pushed it open. I burst into the house. It was dark, stale. The air was thick and heavy with a sour smell. It smelled like sweat. Like fear. Like something that had been locked up for too long. I ran through the living room. I knocked over a side table in my haste. I stumbled down the hallway to the master bedroom. I fell to my knees on the hardwood floor. Emily. Where are you? I'm here. A weak voice came from under the bed. Mom. I can't. I can't get out. My leg. I think it's broken. I dropped to my stomach and looked under the bed. My daughter was lying there in a tight, curled-up ball. Her face was pale and streaked with TRS and grime. Her hair was matted and tangled. Her eyes were sunken and hollow. Dark circles ringed them like bruises. She was wearing a thin nightgown that was stained and dirty. She looked like a ghost. Like a skeleton. Like she had been lying there for weeks instead of days. I'm here, honey. I'm going to get you out. I reached under the bed and grabbed her outstretched hand. It was cold and clammy. I tried to pull her, but she cried out in pain. A terrible, guttural scream that tore through the silence. No. No, my leg. Please, Mom, it hurts. Don't move me. I froze. I peered closer into the darkness. I saw her leg, twisted at a terrible angle. The foot was turned the wrong way. The skin was already turning a mottled purple and blue. It was clearly broken. Badly broken. She had been lying here for days. Helpless. In the dark. In agony. Alone. Ista rude to cry. I could not help it. The TRS just spilled down my cheeks. What happened? Baby, who did this to you? What happened to your leg? She shook her head weakly. I fell, Mom. I was trying to get something from the top shelf in the closet. I fell. I hit my head. I think I was out for a while. When I woke up, I couldn't move. I couldn't reach my phone. It was in my purse in the living room. I was stuck. I've been screaming for help. But no one came. No one heard me. Her story was a nightmare. The thought of her lying there helpless while I was at home dining and watching television drove a knife of guilt straight through my heart. Why had I not come sooner? Why had I waited 5 days? I should have trusted my gut. I should have called the police on Monday. I should have broken down that door the first time she did not answer. It's okay, sweetie. It's okay now. I'm going to call an ambulance. You're going to be okay. I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. When I spoke to the operator, my voice was a hysterical, high-pitched thing I did not recognize. I gave them the address. I told them my daughter was injured. I told them to hurry. I told them she had been trapped for 5 days. While we waited, I kept talking to her. I held her hand. I stroked her hair. I told her I loved her. I told her about the flowers I had been planting, as if it were a normal conversation. I was trying to keep her calm. But I was also trying to keep myself from falling apart. I could not show her how terrified I was. Why didn't you call for help? I whispered, the question spilling out before I could stop it. Why didn't you? Scream louder, someone must have heard you. She looked at me with her big hollow eyes. I tried, Mom. I screamed until my voice was gone. But no one heard. I was in the back bedroom. The walls are thick. I think the neighbors are on vacation. It was a perfect storm of bad luck. A broken leg. A head injury. A misplaced phone. Empty neighbors' houses. It was just a terrible, horrible accident. It had to be. But then I looked around the room again. I saw the tipped-over chair. I saw the clothes scattered on the floor. It was not just a mess from her being stuck. It looked like a struggle. Like someone had been sea-urching for something. To the chair, Emily, I said, my voice cautious. Why is the chair tipped over? She turned her face away. I knocked it over when I fell. Your clothes. All over the floor. I was looking for something. It made sense. It was all so normal. And yet a tiny seed of doubt had been planted in my mind. A small dark thought that I could not quite shake. The ambulance arrived with a wail of sirens that cut through the quiet neighborhood like a knife. I had never been so relieved to hear that sound in my entire life. I ran to the front door and waved my arms like a madwoman, guiding them to the bedroom. The paramedics were young and calm. They moved with a practiced efficiency that I found both reassuring and terrifying. 2 of them knelt beside the bed. One was a woman with kind eyes and a soft voice. She introduced herself as Rachel. The other was a tall man with a shaved head and strong arms. He looked like he could lift a car if he had to. They assessed Emily quickly, speaking to each other in low, clipped medical terms I did not understand. Ma'am, we need you to step back, Rachel said gently. Let us do our job. I stepped back. My legs hit the wall and I slid down to the floor. I sat there with my knees pulled up to my chest, watching them work. They had to cut Emily out from under the bed. The tall man pulled out a pair of heavy chains and sliced through the bed frame. The sound of metal against metal was awful. It scraped right through me. Emily screamed again when they moved her. It was a sound I would never forget. A sound that would haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. Rachel held her hand and talked to her in that soft voice. I know it hurts, honey. I know. But we're going to get you out of here. Just breathe. Just focus on my voice. They lifted her onto a stretcher. They put an oxygen mask over her face and strapped her down. They gave her a shot of morphine for the pain. I watched her face relax slightly as the drug took effect. She was still very weak, but she was awake. She was with me. I rode in the back of the ambulance with her. I held her hand the whole way. The paramedic told me she was severely dehydrated and malnourished. Her blood pressure was dangerously low. She had a slight concussion from hitting her head. But the leg was the main concern. It was a clean break, but it would need surgery. They would put pins in it. She would be in a cast for months. At the hospital, everything became a blur of waiting rooms and fluorescent lights. I paced the floor until my legs ached with exhaustion. I did not feel my age. I felt 100 years old. The minutes stretched into hours. I called my brother Robert. He told me he was on his way. He would drive down from Flagstaff. He sounded worried, but I was too numb to feel any comfort. I called David, Emily's husband. He was in Texas for his law enforcement training. The phone rang and rang. I left a frantic message. David, it's CA Roll. Emily's been in an accident. She's in the hospital. Please call me back as soon as you get this. I sat in the hard plastic chair and stared at the wall. The waiting room was empty except for me. The clock ticked. The fluorescent lights hummed. I prayed to a God I had not spoken to in years. Please let her be okay. Please let my baby be okay. I will do anything. I will be a better person. I will go to church every Sunday. Just please let her be okay. Finally, a doctor came out. He was a young man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Mrs. Henderson, your daughter is out of surgery. She's going to be fine. The surgery went very well. We've set the bone and inserted a metal rod to stabilize it. She's resting now, but she's asking for you. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost made my knees buckle. I thanked him over and over. I grabbed his hand and shook it vigorously. He seemed amused. He told me I could see her now. I was led to her room. It was a private room at the end of the hall. The lights were dim. The machines beeped softly. Emily was lying in the hospital bed, her leg in a thick plaster cast suspended in a sling from the ceiling. Her face was pale and bruised. There were dark circles under her eyes. But she was alive. She was alive. She smiled when she saw me. A weak, fragile smile that broke my heart. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby, I said, rushing to her side and taking her hand. Oh, thank God. I was so scared. I was so scared I was going to lose you. I'm sorry I scared you, she said. I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. I shouldn't have been on that chair. I knew it was wobbly. I knew it was dangerous. But I was in a hurry and I just didn't think. It's okay, I said, stroking her forehead. The main thing is you're okay. You're safe now. That's all that matters. We talked for a little while. Her voice was still weak, a whisper. She told me about her job. She told me about the new manager she did not like. A man named Mr. Patterson who was always criticizing her work. She told me about her neighbor, a man named Mark, who had been acting strange lately. She said he was always looking at her when she was in her road. She said he made her feel uncomfortable. I felt a familiar chill run down my spine. What do you mean, acting strange? He just, she said. He never says hello. He just watches. From his window. From his porch. I catch him looking at me all the time. It creeps me out. I was going to report him to the landlord, but I didn't want to make a fuss. I didn't want to cause trouble. I felt that seed of doubt from before begin to grow in my chest. Did he do this to you, Emily? Did Mark break into your house? Did he hurt you? She shook her head weakly. No, Mom. It was an accident. I told you. I fell. I know what you said, I replied, my voice calm but firm. But I saw your room. It was a mess. It looked like someone was looking for something. It looked like a struggle. Her eyes root away from mine. She looked down at her hands. She was picking at the blanket with her fingers. A nervous habit she had had since she was a little girl. I told you, I was looking for something. I knocked things over when I fell. What were you looking for? There was a long pause. She hesitated. Her jaw tightened. Some old photos. My yearbook. I don't know. I was looking for some old memories. I was feeling nostalgic. It was a flimsy excuse. Too flimsy. I knew my daughter. I had raised her for 34 years. She was a terrible liar. She always had been. When she was little, she could not even pretend she had eaten her vegetables. Her face would give her away instantly. It was giving her away now. Why are you lying to me? I said, my voice low. Please, Emily. I'm your mother. I've been sick with worry for 5 days. I'm not a fool. I found you on the floor under your bed, crying. Something happened. Something you're not telling me. Tell me the truth. She looked at me then. Her eyes welled up with tears. They spilled down her cheeks and soaked into her pillow. I can't, Mom, she whispered. I can't tell you. You'll be so angry. You'll hate me. I could never hate you, I said, squeezing her hand. I love you more than anything in this world. More than my own life. Nothing you could ever do would make me stop loving you. Just tell me what happened. Please. She took a shaky breath. She looked around the room as if she was afraid someone was listening. She looked at the door. She looked at the window. She looked at the machines beeping beside her bed. And then she sta rude to talk. The words came out in a rush, like water breaking through a dam. It's not just about the fall, Mom, she said. It's not an accident. Well, it was an accident, but it wasn't just that. It was an attack. I was trying to stop him. He was looking for it. He was looking for the money. Looking for what? I asked. My voice was a whisper. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear my own words. For the money, she sobbed. The money I was hiding. The money I stole from the real estate agency. The words hung in the air between us like a physical weight. I felt the floor drop out from under me. I sat down heavily in the chair beside her bed. My legs would not hold me anymore. My mind was reeling. It was spinning so fast I could form a single coherent thought. What do you mean, you stole money? I asked. My voice was flat with disbelief. I could not process what she was telling me. How much money? $50,000, she whispered. Her face was pale with shame. Her eyes were red and swollen. I was desperate, Mom. I got into debt. Bad debt. Really bad debt. Credit cards, payday loans. I was going to lose the house. I was going to lose everything. I saw a way to take some money from the escrow account at work. Just a temporary loan. I was going to put it back before anyone noticed. I swear, Mom. I was just going to borrow it. I just needed a little more time to pay it back. A few weeks. A month at most. Her words felt like a punch to the gut. I had raised this girl. I had taught her right from wrong. I had taught her that honesty was the most important thing. How could she do something like this? How could she betray her employer's trust like that? How could she steal from people who had given her a job, a chance? Who did you tell? I demanded. My mind was racing, trying to piece it all together. Who knew about this? No one, she said. I was going to tell you. I was going to ask you for help. I was going to come clean. But then I got SCA red. I was SCA red you would hate me. I was SCA red you would disown me. So I hid it. I hid the money in my room. In the wall. In the wall, I repeated. I was confused. Why in the wall, behind a loose panel, she said. In the back of the closet. There's a space between the studs. It's where I hide my important stuff. My jewelry. My grandmother's ring. The money. I hid it there. I was going to take it back on Monday. I was going to go to the bank and transfer the money back into the escrow account. But then Mark showed up, I said. The realization was dawning on me like a dark cloud. I could see it all now. The pieces were falling into place. Yes, she said, nodding her head weakly. He came over on Sunday night. He was drunk. I could smell it on him. He was always bothering me. He wanted to, you know. He wanted more than I was willing to give. I said no. I told him to leave. He got angry. He said he knew what I had done. He said he saw me hiding something in my closet. He said he wanted the money. He said if I did not give it to him, he would go to the police. So he came to your house, I said. He came to get the money. And you fought him. Yes, she said. We fought in the bedroom. He was strong. He was so strong. I was trying to stop him from getting to the closet. I was trying to protect the money. He pushed me. I fell. I hit my head on the corner of the dresser. The chair tipped over. He must have thought I was dead. He just ran. He took the money. He took it all. She sta rude to cry again. Deep, racking sobs that shook her whole body. I was so ska red, Mom. I thought I was going to die. I thought no one would ever find me. All because I made one terrible decision. One stupid, terrible decision. I sat there for a long time, sta ring at the floor. I felt so many emotions. Anger at her for being so reckless. Anger at Mark for being such a predator. Anger at myself for not being there to protect her. I felt a deep, gnawing sadness. My daughter, my beautiful daughter, had been caught in a trap of her own making. She had made a mistake, but she did not deserve this. She did not deserve to be left for dead. I'm so sorry, Mom, she said. I'm so sorry I lied to you. I'm so sorry I disappointed you. I didn't want you to see me like this. As a thief. As a failure. I looked at her. Despite everything, she was still my daughter. She had made a terrible mistake, but that did not change the fact that I loved her. And Mark had nearly killed her. He had left her there to rot. He had stolen from her. He had terrorized her. He had taken advantage of her vulnerability. Don't apologize, I said. My voice was hardening. I felt a cold resolve settling into my bones. You made a mistake, but you didn't deserve this. He took advantage of you. He stole from you. He almost killed you. We're going to fix this. We're going to get that money back. And we're going to make sure he pays for what he did. I stood up from the chair. My joints ached. I felt every one of my 63 Rs. But I also felt a new feeling. A cold, hard resolve. I was not a woman who was easily pushed around. I had raised a daughter on my own. I had faced down many challenges in my life. I had buried my husband and my parents. I had survived cancer. I had survived everything life threw at me. This was just another battle. And I would not lose. Where does Mark live? I asked. Mom, no, she said. Her eyes were wide with fear. You can't go over there. He's dangerous. He's unstable. He could hurt you. Please, Mom. Don't go. Just call the police. Let them handle it. Let them handle it, I said. My voice was sharp. You've been lying there for 5 days, Emily. 5 days. Where were the police? Where was anyone? No one was coming to help you. I found you. I saved you. And I'm going to finish this. I kissed her on the forehead. I told her I would be back. I told her to rest and not to worry. I was going to get her out of this mess, even if it meant getting into my own. I walked out of the hospital room with a fire in my soul I had not felt in years. I was a mother on a mission. And I would not fail. I did not go to Mark's house that night. I was too tired, and I was too angry. I knew I needed to be smart about this. I needed a plan. I could not just go rigging into a dangerous man's home without thinking it through. That would be foolish. That would get me hurt or worse. I went home and sat in my living room, sta ring at the wall. The house felt empty without the sound of Emily's voice on the phone. The silence was deafening. I looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. I had not eaten anything all day. I was not hungry. My stomach was in knots. I thought about Emily lying in that hospital bed. I thought about her pale face and her hollow eyes. I thought about her broken leg and her bruised body. I thought about the terror she must have felt lying under that bed for 5 days, alone, helpless, waiting to die. And then I thought about Mark. I pictured his face. I had seen him once or twice from a distance. A skinny man with a gaunt face and nervous eyes. He did not look like a monster. But monsters are a rely do. I imagined him laughing at his good fortune. I imagined him spending Emily's stolen money. The thought made my blood boil. I remembered Emily's husband, David. He worked in law enforcement. He was a good man. He loved Emily. He would do anything for her. I had not called him yet. I did not want to worry him. He was in the middle of his training program. I did not want to distract him. But I realized now that I needed him. He would know what to do. He would have the connections. He would have the resources. I picked up the phone and called him. It rang 4 times. I was about to hang up when he answered. "Ca roll, what's wrong? Is Emily okay?" His voice was Shah RP with concern. He knew something was wrong. He could hear it in my voice. "David, it's Emily. She's in the hospital. She's going to be okay, but she's hurt. She was trapped in her house for 5 days. She broke her leg. She had surgery. She's going to be fine, but there's more. There's a lot more." I told him everything. I told him about the stolen money. I told him about Mark. I told him about the attack and the theft. I told him about the hospital and the surgery. I told him all of it. He listened in silence. I could hear his breathing on the other end of the line, heavy and controlled. When I was finished, he said, "Don't do anything, Mom. I'm going to handle this. I'm on my way. I'll be there tomorrow morning. Just stay home and stay safe. Don't go near Mark's house. Promise me." I promised him. I had no intention of going near Mark's house that night anyway. I was exhausted. I could be a rely keep my eyes open. I lay down on the couch and fell asleep almost immediately. I slept dreamlessly. It was a deep, heavy sleep that came from pure exhaustion. I woke up the next morning feeling like I had been run over by a truck. Every muscle in my body ached. My hands were cut and bruised from breaking the glass. My knees were sore from kneeling on the floor. I felt every single one of my yars. But I also felt a renewed sense of purpose. I got dressed. I put on my good walking shoes. I made myself a cup of coffee and forced myself to eat a piece of toast. I was going to need my strength. David arrived around 10 in the morning. He looked exhausted. He had driven through the night to get here. His eyes were red and puffy. His clothes were rumpled. He gave me a big hug and held me for a long time. We were both too emotional to speak. "How is she?" he finally asked. "She's resting," I said. "She's in a lot of pain, but she's going to be okay. The doctor said she'll make a full recovery. The leg will heal. The concussion is mild. She's going to be fine." He nodded. He looked relieved, but also angry. "I'm going to kill him," he said. "I'm going to find this Mark and I'm going to kill him." "No, you're not," I said firmly. "You're a law enforcement officer. You can't do that. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to go to the police. We're going to tell them everything. We're going to make sure he goes to jail." David shook his head. "It's not that simple, Mom. Emily stole money. $50,000 Rs. That's a felony. If we go to the police, she could go to jail too. They're not going to look the other way just because she was attacked. She's still a thief. She still committed a crime." I had not thought of that. I had been so focused on getting revenge on Mark that I had not considered the consequences for Emily. If she went to jail, her life would be ruined. Her career would be over. Her marriage would be in jeopardy. Everything she had worked for would be destroyed. "What do we do then?" I asked. "We can't just let him get away with it. He attacked her. He stole from her. He left her to die. We're going to handle it ourselves," David said. His voice was low and cold. "We're going to get the money back. We're going to make him pay. But we're going to do it quietly. No police. No witnesses. Just you and me." I looked at him. I saw a man I had not seen before. A man who was willing to do whatever it took to protect his wife. A man who was ready to cross the line. I felt a mixture of fear and admiration. "Okay," I said. "What's the plan?" "We go to his house," David said. "We confront him. We tell him we know everything. We tell him to hand over the money or we'll make his life a living hell. We don't threaten him with the police. We threaten him with something worse. We threaten him with us." It was risky. It was dangerous. But it was our only option. I agreed to go with him. I would be the backup. I would be the witness. I would be the one to call for help if things went wrong. We drove to Mark's house in David's black SUV. It was a dilapidated rental property on a quiet street. The paint was peeling. The lawn was overgrown. The windows were dirty. It looked like nobody had taken care of it in years. Mark's was in the driveway. A rusty old sedan. He was home. David parked across the street. He turned to me. Stay here, Mom. I'm going to go knock on the door. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, call the police. Got it, I nodded. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. Be careful, David. He's dangerous. I know, he said. That's why I'm going. He got out of the car and walked across the street. He was wearing a plain black t-shirt and jeans. He looked strong. He looked confident. He looked like he could handle anything. I watched him walk up to the front door. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Rider this time. I saw the curtains twitch. Mark was in there. He knew someone was at his door. David knocked a third time. Mark, open up. I know you're in there. The door opened a crack. I saw Mark's scant face peer out. He looked nervous. He looked red. He looked like a cornered animal. What do you want? He snapped. His voice was high and thin. I want to talk to you, David said. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. About Emily. About the money. About what you did. I don't know what you're talking about, Mark said. You need to leave. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, David said. Call them. Call them and explain how you have $50,000 in cash in your possession. Call them and explain how you broke into a woman's house and attacked her. Call them and explain why you left her to die under her bed. Mark paused. He looked at David with a calculating expression. He was weighing his options. I could see the panic flickering in his eyes. He was a coward road. He was a bully. And he was used to pushing people around. But he was not used to someone pushing back. You can't prove anything, he said, but his voice was less certain. You're right, David said. I can't. But I don't have to prove anything. I just have to make your life very difficult. I can tell everyone on this street what you did. I can make sure every neighbor knows you're a thief and a coward road. I can make sure you never find another job in this town. Mark looked at him for a long moment. He was trying to figure out if David was bluffing. He was trying to find a way out. But he had no way out. He was trapped. And he knew it. And then he did something I did not expect. He smiled. A slow, cruel smile that made my blood run cold. What if I told you I have proof, he said. Proof of what? David asked. Proof that your wife is a thief, Mark said. I took a video. When she was hiding the money in her closet, I was watching through the window. I have it all on tape. Every second of it. If you go to the police, I'll go to the police. I'll show them the video. She'll go to jail. I'll get off scot-free. I felt a chill run down my spine. He was right. If we went to the police, Emily would be arrested. He was blackmailing us. He was using our love for our daughter against us. David stood there for a moment. I could see the anger radiating off him. His fists were clenched. His jaw was tight. I thought he was going to punch Mark. I thought he was going to lose control. But he did not. He took a deep breath and stepped back. You're going to regret this, Mark, he said. You're going to regret this for the rest of your life. I don't think so, Mark said. He smiled again. I think I'm going to enjoy this. I have the power now. I have the proof. And there's nothing you can do about it. David turned and walked away. He got back in the car. He sat there for a moment, ring at the steering wheel. His hands were shaking. What do we do now? I asked. We find another way, he said. There's always another way. We drove back to my house in silence. Neither of us spoke. We were both thinking. We were both trying to find a solution. But nothing came to mind. We were trapped. We were completely trapped. Later that afternoon, I went back to the hospital to see Emily. She was awake. She was sitting up in bed. Her leg was still in a cast. Her face was still bruised. But she looked better. She looked more alert. She smiled when she saw me. Hi, Mom, she said. Did you find him? Did you find Mark? I sat down beside her. I took her hand. Yes, we found him. But it's not that simple, honey. He has proof. He has a video of you hiding the money. He said if we go to the police, he'll show it to them. You'll go to jail. Emily's face went pale. She looked terrified. What are we going to do, Mom? I can't go to jail. I can't. I'll lose everything. My job. My house. David. Everything. We're going to figure something out, I said. I promise. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. She sta root to cry. She buried her face in my shoulder. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry I got you into this. I'm so sorry I ruined everything. I held her tight. I stroked her hair. I told her everything was going to be okay. But I was not sure I believed it myself. I had no plan. I had no idea what we were going to do. All I knew was that I was not going to give up. I was not going to let Mark win. I was going to find a way to save my daughter. Even if it meant sacrificing myself. I spent the rest of that day going over every possible angle in my head. I could not sleep. I could not eat. I just sat in my living room staring at the wall, trying to think of a way out. David had gone back to the hospital to sit with Emily. I told him I needed some time alone to think. The truth was, I needed to think without anyone watching me. I needed to figure out what kind of woman I was going to be. I had always thought of myself as a good person. A decent person. I went to church on Easter and Christmas. I donated to the food bank. I helped my elderly neighbors with their groceries. I had never broken the law in my life. Not once. Not even a speeding ticket. But now I was considering doing something that would change everything. Something that would cross a line I had never even approached. I was thinking about breaking into Mark's house. It was the only way. If we could find the money and the video, we would have the evidence we needed. We could go to the police and tell them everything. We could prove that Mark was the criminal, not Emily. We could clear her name and put him behind bars. But it was illegal. It was breaking and entering. It was theft. It was everything I had raised Emily not to do. And yet, here I was, seriously considering it. I thought about Emily. I thought about her lying under that bed for 5 days, alone and terrified. I thought about Mark attacking her and leaving her to die. I thought about him blackmailing us and holding that video over our heads. He was a monster. He did not deserve my mercy. He did not deserve my respect for the law. Sometimes, you have to break the rules to do what is right. I made up my mind. I was going to do it. I was going to break into Mark's house and find that evidence. I was not going to tell David. He would try to stop me. He would say it was too dangerous. He would try to protect me. But I was not a fragile old woman. I was stronger than I looked. And I was determined to save my daughter. I waited until midnight. The streets were quiet. The neighbors were asleep. I put on RK clothes. A black sweater and black pants. I tied my gray hair back in a bun and covered it with a RK scarf. I looked like a burglar from an old movie. It made me almost laugh. Almost. I drove to Mark's house in my old Buick. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was going to be sick. But I kept walking. The house was dark. No lights on. No sign of life. Mark was still in the driveway. He was home. He was probably asleep. I walked around to the back of the house. The gate was locked, but it was old and rusted. I pushed it open with a grunt. The backyard was a mess. Overgrown weeds. Broken furniture. Trash everywhere. It looked like nobody had set foot in it for years. I tried the back door. It was locked. I tried the windows. The first one was locked. The second one was locked. The third one slid open with a gentle push. I climbed through the window into a small laundry room. The air was stale. It smelled like cigarette smoke and old garbage. I stood there for a moment, listening. The house was silent. No sounds. No movement. I crept through the house. It was a mess. Dirty dishes in the sink. Clothes on the floor. Empty beer bottles everywhere. The place was a disaster. It was hard to believe anyone lived like this. I found the bedroom. It was at the end of the hall. The door was open. I peeked inside. Mark was lying on the bed, fast asleep. He was snoring loudly. He was wearing a stained t-shirt and boxer shorts. He looked pathetic. He looked like a child. I crept past him to the closet. I opened the door slowly. It squeaked. I froze. Mark snorted in his sleep but did not wake up. I let out a breath I did not know I was holding. I searched the closet. I looked through his clothes. I checked the pockets. I looked under the shoes. Nothing. I searched the dresser. I went through his drawers. Underwear, socks. Nothing. I looked under the bed. Nothing but dust and empty bottles. Where was it? Where was he hiding the money and the video? I went to the living room. I searched the couch cushions. I looked behind the television. I checked the bookshelf. Nothing. I was rooting to panic. What if he did not have it here? What if he had hidden it somewhere else? What if I had come all this way for nothing and then I saw it? A small safe in the corner of the living room, half hidden behind a stack of old newspapers. It was a cheap little safe, the kind you can buy at any department store. It was unlocked. I opened it. Inside was a stack of cash. $50,000 RS, bound in neat bundles. And next to it was a small digital camera. The video. It had to be the video. I grabbed the cash and the camera. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped them. I shoved them into my bag. I was about to leave when I heard a sound behind me. What do you think you're doing? I spun around. Mark was standing in the doorway. He was holding a baseball bat. His eyes were wild. His face was twisted with rage. He looked like a demon. I stepped back. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I'm taking back what you stole, I said. My voice was shaking, but I tried to sound confident. I'm taking back my daughter's money and the evidence you used to blackmail us. You're a crazy old woman, he said. You think you can just break into my house and steal from me? You think I'm just going to let you walk out of here? He stepped four-way road. He raised the bat. I knew he was going to hit me. I knew I was in trouble. I looked around for something to defend myself. A lamp. A chair. Anything. There was nothing. So I did the only thing I could think of. I ran toward the back door. I heard him coming after me. I heard his footsteps pounding on the floor. I heard him yelling. I reached the laundry room. I scrambled through the window. My sweater caught on the frame. I had to rip it free. I fell to the ground outside. My knees hit the pavement road. The pain shot through me. But I did not stop. I scrambled to my feet and ran. I ran through the backyard road. I ran through the gate. I ran down the street. I could hear him behind me. He was gaining on me. He was faster than me. He was younger than me. He was going to catch me. And then I heard a car engine roar to life. Headlights flooded the street. A black SUV screeched to a halt in front of me. The door flew open. Get in. David shouted. I dove into the car. David slammed on the gas. The tires squealed. We shot four-way road. I looked back through the REAR window. Mark was standing in the middle of the street, waving his baseball bat and screaming. He looked furious. He looked defeated. We drove in silence for a few minutes. I was breathing heavily. My heart was still pounding. My knees were bleeding. My hands were shaking. I could barely speak. Are you okay? David finally asked. His voice was tight with anger. What were you thinking? You could have been killed. I had to do it, I said. I had to get the money and the video. It was the only way. He looked at me. His expression softened. Did you get it? I opened my bag. I showed him the cash. I showed him the camera. I got it all, I said. Now we have the evidence. Now we can go to the police. Now we can clear our Emily's name. David looked at me for a long moment. And then he root to laugh. It was a strange, relieved kind of laugh. You are the toughest woman I have ever met, roll, he said. You really are. I smiled. It was a weak smile, but it was genuine. I'm a mother, I said. That's what mothers do. We protect our children. No matter what it takes. We drove to the police station. We walked in together. I was still covered in dirt and blood. My sweater was torn. My hair was a mess. I must have looked like a wreck. But I did not see We told the officer at the front desk everything. We told him about the stolen money. We told him about the attack. We told him about the video. We gave him the cash and the camera as evidence. He looked at us with a skeptical expression. And how exactly did you come across this evidence? He asked. I looked at David. David looked at me. We both knew we could not tell him the truth. We could not tell him I broke into Mark's house and stole it. I found it, I said. In my daughter's house. Mark must have hidden it there when he attacked her. I found it when I was cleaning up. It was a lie. It was a terrible lie. But it was the only one I could think of. The officer looked at me for a long moment. I could tell he did not believe me. But he did not push it. He took the evidence and told us he would be in touch. David and I walked out of the police station. It was almost dawn. The sky was rooting to lighten. The birds were rooting to sing. It was a new day. Now what? David asked. Now we wait, I said. And we hope it's enough. I went back to the hospital. Emily was still asleep. I sat down beside her bed and held her hand. I watched her breathe. I watched her sleep. I was exhausted. I was bruised. I was battered. But I was relieved. I had saved my daughter. I had gotten the money back. I had read her name. But I had also broken the law. I had crossed a line I never thought I would cross. And I knew deep down that I could never go back. I fell asleep in the chair beside her bed. I slept for a few hours. When I woke up, Emily was awake. She was looking at me with tears in her eyes. Thank you, Mom, she said. I heard what you did. David told me. You saved me. You saved my life. I took her hand. I squeezed it gently. That's what mothers do, baby. We save our children. No matter what it costs. We sat there together, holding hands. We did not speak. We did not need to. We both knew that things would never be the same. We both knew that we had crossed a line. But we had crossed it together. And that was all that mattered. The next few days were a blur of activity. The police arrested Mark. They found his fingerprints all over Emily's bedroom. They found the money in his safe, and they found the video on his camera. It was all the evidence they needed. He was charged with assault, theft, and breaking and entering. He was looking at serious prison time. Emily was released from the hospital. She was still in a cast. She was still on crutches. But she was home. She was safe. David moved back from Texas to take care of her. He took a leave of absence from his training program. He said he needed to be with his wife. I went to see her every day. I cooked her meals. I cleaned her house. I helped her with her physical therapy. I was there for her, just like I had always been. But something had changed between us. Something I could not quite put my finger on. She was grateful. She told me she loved me. She thanked me over and over for saving her. But there was a distance there. A wall I had never seen before. She looked at me with eyes that were wide-eyed, cautious. She was hiding something. I could feel it. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was just tired. I told myself that everything was fine. But deep down, I knew it was not. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after the arrest, I was at Emily's house. She was doing her exercises on the couch. I was in the kitchen, making her lunch. I opened the refrigerator to get some vegetables, and I saw something that made my blood run cold. It was a Post-it note, stuck to the inside of the refrigerator door. It had Emily's handwriting on it. A series of numbers. 6 digits. It was a code. A code to a safe. I read at it for a long moment. My mind was racing. I did not remember ever seeing that note before. I did not remember Emily ever mentioning a safe. I felt a cold dread creeping into my stomach. I walked back into the living room. Emily was watching television. She looked up at me and smiled. "What's for lunch, Mom?" "Emily," I said. My voice was flat. "What is the code on the refrigerator?" Her smile faltered. It flickered and died. She looked at me with those wide eyes. "What code?" "The one on the refrigerator," I said. "The 6-digit number. It's your handwriting." "What safe does it belong to?" She looked away. She read at the television. She did not answer for a long time. "It's nothing, Mom. Just an old code. I don't even remember what it's for." "Don't lie to me," I said. My voice was sharp. "I know when you're lying, Emily. I've known you your whole life. Tell me what that code is for." She sta root to cry. The TRS spilled down her cheeks. She buried her face in her hands. I can't, Mom. I can't tell you. You'll hate me. I sat down beside her. I took her hands. I could never hate you, I said. I love you more than anything. But I need to know the truth. Please, Emily. Tell me the truth. She looked at me then. Her eyes were red and swollen. It's for a safe deposit box, she said. At the bank. There's more money in it. A lot more money. I felt my heart sink. More money, how much more? $200,000 RS, she whispered. I stole it over the past 6 months. I didn't just take the $50,000. I took a lot more than that. I was desperate. I was trying to pay off my debts. I was trying to save the house. But it wasn't enough. I kept taking more. And more. And more. I sta read at her. I could not believe what I was hearing. My daughter, my beautiful daughter, had been stealing from her employer for months. She had been lying to me for months. She had been hiding it all from me. Why, I asked. My voice was a whisper. Why did you do it? Why didn't you come to me for help? Why didn't you ask me for money? Because I was ashamed, she said. I was so ashamed. I had made so many bad decisions. I had gotten into so much debt. I didn't want you to see me as a failure. I didn't want you to be disappointed in me. I sat there for a long time, sta ring at the floor. I felt a wave of emotions wash over me. Anger. Betrayal. Sadness. I had broken into a man's house for her. I had risked my freedom for her. I had lied to the police for her. And all the while, she had been hiding the truth from me. Mom, please, she said. Her voice was desperate. Please don't be angry. Please don't hate me. I know I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But I'll fix it. I'll pay it all back. I'll find a way. How are you going to pay it back? I asked. You don't have that kind of money. You don't have anything. I'll sell the house, she said. I'll sell everything I own. I'll get a second job. I'll do whatever it takes. Just please, Mom, don't turn me in. Please don't let me go to jail. I looked at her. She was crying. She was SCA red. She was so young and so foolish. And she was my daughter. Despite everything, she was still my daughter. David, I said. Does David know about this? She shook her head. No. I never told him. I was too SCA red. He would leave me. He would divorce me. I couldn't bear that. I stood up. I walked to the window and sta read out at the street. The sun was shining. The birds were singing. It was such a beautiful day. Such a normal day. And yet, everything had changed. Mom, please, she said again. Please don't tell him. Please don't tell anyone. I turned around. I looked at her. I looked at the TRS on her face. I looked at the guilt in her eyes. And I made a decision. A terrible, awful decision. I won't tell anyone, I said. But you're going to make this right, Emily. You're going to sell the house. You're going to sell everything you own. You're going to pay back every single penny. And you're never, ever going to do anything like this again. She nodded. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. I promise, Mom. I promise I'll make it right. I'll do whatever it takes. I walked over to her. I knelt down beside her. I took her face in my hands. I love you, Emily, I said. I love you more than anything in this world. But if you ever lie to me again, I will walk away. I will leave you to deal with the consequences on your own. Do you understand? She nodded again. I understand. I promise. I'll never lie to you again. I held her close. I held her tight. I held her like I used to hold her when she was a little girl. And I cried. I cried for her. I cried for me. I cried for everything we had lost. And I knew in that moment that things would never be the same. I would never trust her the same way again. I would always wonder if she was telling me the truth. I would always be watching, always be waiting for the next betrayal. She had crossed a line. And so had I. We had both done things we never thought we would do. We had both compromised our values. We had both made terrible decisions. But we were still mother and daughter. And that meant something. That meant everything. Over the next few weeks, Emily sold the house. She sold her car. She sold her jewelry. She sold everything she owned. She paid back the money. All of it. Every single penny. She got a new job. A better job. At a small accounting firm. She sta root going to therapy. She sta root working on her issues. She sta root trying to become a better person. I was proud of her. I was proud of her for trying to make things right. But I could not forget. I could not forget what she had done. I could not forget the lies. I could not forget the betrayal. I loved her. I would always love her. But the trust was gone. And I did not know if it would ever come back. In the end, I realized something. Something I had not understood before. Being a mother is not about protecting your children from their mistakes. It is about being there for them when they fall. It is about helping them get back up. It is about loving them even when they do not deserve it. And that is what I did. I loved her. I helped her. I was there for her. But I never forgot. And I never fully trusted her again. Sometimes, the worst scars are the ones you cannot see. And the rightest person to forgive is the one you love the most. I know now that I did everything I could to save my daughter. But in the end, I could not save her from herself. And that is the rightest lesson any mother can learn. You can give your children everything. You can sacrifice everything for them. But you cannot make them be honest. You cannot make them be good. That has to come from within. And my daughter had to find it on her own. I still see her every day. I still love her. I still want the best for her. But I also keep my eyes open. I keep my heart wide. Because I know now that love is not enough. Sometimes you have to protect yourself, too. I could not reach my daughter for 5 days. I thought I had lost her. But in the end, I realized that I had lost her long before that. I lost her the moment she decided to lie to me. And I am not sure I will ever get her back. The trial was quick. Mark pleaded guilty to all charges. The video of him taking the money was damning. He was sentenced to 10 years in state prison. I watched him being led away in handcuffs. He looked broken. He looked defeated. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No relief. Just a hollow emptiness. Emily came to the courthouse in a wheelchair. Her leg was still in a cast. She was pale and thin. But she was getting better. She was going to be okay. David stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder. He looked at her with so much love in his eyes. He had no idea what she had done. I walked over to her. I knelt down beside the wheelchair. I took her hand. It's over, I said. It's all over. She nodded. She was crying. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for everything. I looked at her. I saw my daughter. The little girl I had raised. The woman she had become. And I made a choice. I chose to forgive her. Not because she deserved it. But because I needed to let go of the anger. I needed to move on. I love you, I said. That's the only thing that matters. I love you. And I will always love you. We went back to her house that afternoon. She was living in a small apartment now. It was modest. It was humble. But it was hers. She had bought it with the little money she had left. I helped her settle in. I made her tea. I sat with her on the couch. We watched the evening news. We talked about nothing important. It was almost normal. Almost. And then she said something that surprised me. Mom, she said. I want you to know that I'm going to be better. I'm going to be the daughter you deserve. I promise. I looked at her. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But I knew that trust was not something you could just give back. It had to be earned. And it would take time. I know you will, I said. I believe in you. I always have. I drove home that night. The roads were quiet. The stars were out. I thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the anger, the heartbreak. And I thought about the future. Things would be different now. They had to be. But that did not mean they would be worse. It just meant they would be different. I pulled into my driveway. I got out of the car. I walked up to my front door. And I realized, for the first time in a long time, that I was okay. I was still standing. I was still strong. I was still a mother. And that was enough. In the end, I learned that love is not about perfection. It is about acceptance. It is about being there for someone even when they fail. It is about loving them despite their flaws. I saved my daughter. I got her back. But I also lost something. I lost the illusion of who I thought she was. In the end, I saved my daughter, but I lost the illusion of who she really was. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life tales of family, betrayal, and the links we go to for the ones we love. We want to hear your story in the comments below. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice to protect a family member? Let us know.